And there's a couple of buttons that need, and a rich edit that needs to process information. In 2.2.2, a text file called digitalcertificates.txt contains a list of certificates that have been issued. The details of each certificate holder appears as follows. So this text file, it has the certificate holder name, followed by a semicolon. It then has the issue number, followed by a hash. It then has the expiry date, followed by the hash, and then the security code. So this is a sample of what is in the text file. Here we go. This is the text file that is given with the information in it. You'll see the first part of the text file was followed by the semicolon. Then you got the expiry date. Then you've got a number, hash, then the date, hash, and then you got your code. So this is what the text file looks like. Let's see what 2.2.1 requires us to do. At somewhere in this 2.2.1, I'm sure we're going to have to instantiate the object. The user must enter the name of the certificate holder. We can see the name needs to be entered here in this edit box. The program must locate the name of the certificate holder in the text file. So we need to do a search. We need to take this name that's input. We need to search for it in the text file. So a search technique is going to come in there. Check whether or not the digital certificates.txt file exists. So while we need to open the file, we check whether it exists. If the text file does not exist, display a suitable message. If the text file exists, search for the name. If the certificate holder's name is located, then instantiate the object and make this panel visible. If it's not located, then you're going to display some message. So let's look at the code for this. It's dealing with text files. So here we go. Keep in mind there's a Boolean variable. So whenever you're doing a search, we usually use a Boolean variable to determine whether what we're looking for has been found or not. So this Boolean variable is called flag. It's currently set to false. When I find what I'm looking for, I will change the value of flag to true. I get the certificate holder name. I get that from the edit box. This is the edit box that was on the form. And now we need to start the search. So let's go through the process of testing or checking if the file exists. We use the file exists function, and that's the file that we are looking for. And if not file exists, it means it could not find the file. That's my message. And exit. Don't go any further. Don't proceed further. Come out of the procedure that we are in. But if this condition fails, then we will get to this point because we would not have reached the exit. So if the condition fails, create a link between the internal file name and the external file name. So this is the external file name on the hard drive, and this is my internal file name in my Delphi program. You will see F here is declared of text file. And then I say reset. This is actually, my apology, that is reset, that's correct, reset F. What does reset mean? Reset means open the file. We want to open it because we want to get information out from it. In other words, we want to read from the file. So how do we don't know how much of information is in there, so we use while not end of file. So once the end of the file has been reached, this loop will then terminate. The condition will become false, and the loop will then end. Each time we read a line from the text file, so the first time around, we read a particular line. If I bring up the text file, I'm going to be reading GG Technologies, the entire line, including the security code. So that is what the text, this variable line is going to contain. GG Technologies with everything in it. The idea here is to split up. The idea is to split up the name, the number, there's a hash, to split up the date and the security code. So let's do that. So the first part is where I search for the colon, because that's my first, the semicolon, because that's my first separator. Look for the position of the semicolon in this line, and then copy from the line. Start at 1, but when you are copying, copy how many characters from position 1, not including the semicolon. So if the semicolon was found at position 10, it will take 9 characters, 10 minus 1, 9 characters from position 1, so that it does not include copying the semicolon. So that is stored in a variable called certificate holder, and then delete everything up until the semicolon. We delete it. So delete, start from position 1 and take that many number of characters. So if it was 10, take 10 characters. So if the semicolon was found at position 10, it will delete the semicolon as well. So here, if that was where you found the semicolon, then all of this gets deleted, and this is your new part of your string. And then in the second instance, we do exactly the same thing. The second separator was the hash. So we search for the hash, we get the issue number, and again, we copy 1 less than where it found the hash, and then we delete. We delete up to and including the hash. So that now gets the second part, we get the issue number. The third part is where we're looking for a hash, the second hash, right? Let's bring this up. Remember, that was the first hash. We deleted everything up until this hash. Now we're looking for the second hash that we are finding in our program. So once the second hash is found at the certain position, we copy in exactly the same way. We get the expiry date, and then we delete. But remember, once we do this particular delete, the last piece of information that we will be left with in the text file will be the security code. Therefore, I take that, which is stored in line, and I just assign it to this variable called security code. So this is where I found all my tokens. This is where I broke up the one line of string into the different tokens. The token that I'm interested in is the certificate holder. That's what I'm interested in. So if uppercase C holder is equal to uppercase cert holder, now remember that C holder was the value that I got that I'm searching for. That's the value I'm searching for. And if that equals to cert holder, that's the one I read from my text file. So I do a comparison. If it is not, I don't go inside. There's the end of my while loop. So you can see that. There's my while loop. So if it's not a match, it goes back up, reads the second line, breaks up the tokens, compares the name. If it's not, it goes back up, reads the third line, breaks up the tokens. And when it does find a match, it found what the certificate holder you're looking for, then only it will come into this code here. You could argue, and possibly rightly so, that there was no need to have broken up all of these tokens at this stage because we only needed the certificate holder to do that check. I agree. Uh, when we go into the if statement, these other tokens are then required. So we could possibly have moved uh, these lines of code inside of the if statement. From an understanding point of view, um, I think it's probably easier once I have tokens, break up all the tokens that you need, compare whatever you need to compare. So the question wants me, when I find a match, to instantiate the object. So I need all of those tokens to instantiate the object. So here it is: certificate holder, expiry date, security code, and the issue number. Just to be a bit cautious, because the parameters were in this order. That was the order for the parameters. And this order is different from the order in which it is stored in the text file. I think they tried to trick you here. You could so easily split up the tokens and take the same order: certificate holder, issue number. So you would have put issue number here, and then expiry date there, and security code there. And if you did that, you would have picked up like a type mismatch, which would have been incorrect. So when calling up a procedure and you have parameters, make sure that you call it up in the right order, which is really critical. So this is where we're instantiating the object. We instantiate the object, displaying a message. And the second part required you to make something, there it is here. Make this panel visible. So this is where the visible property, panel buttons are visible, set to true. And remember, I said whenever we're doing a search, we use a flag, which is Boolean. So the minute I find what I'm looking for, I change my flag. I change my flag to true. And then it's not exit, it should be break. Break. What break does, break will allow me to stop the loop. So once I find what I'm looking for, I can break. That will stop the loop, at which stage, remember, flag, which was initially set to false, there it is here, flag is initially set to false, has now been changed to true whenever I find what I'm looking for. However, if I don't find what I'm looking for, then flag remains false. So outside of the loop, now I'm out of the while loop, I check the value of flag. And if flag happened to remain false, it means that the name I was searching for was not found. A search is really an important technique